Live right now. I'm gonna wait for this stream to pick up, but while I'm waiting, I might as well start talking. If you're new to this channel, my name is Apter. I'm a drummer, musician, producer, songwriter, whatever you want to call it. I'm just a musician here in Nashville, and I document my day-to-day life and kind of my journey as I, restart my career here in Nashville. And what I like to do every week is because I've gotten a lot of followers in the past year, and I can't always answer the questions during my live streams, which I like to broadcast my gigs. I come on here and I find a way to connect with my audience, and I love to answer questions here. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I just kind of I talk a little bit about what I'm doing, and then I kind of set a tone and let people also ask questions if they have questions about music, about Nashville, about working in the industry, about starting your career over, or just anything music related. Uh, so yeah, and we are kind of reaching the holiday season. We're in the holiday season right now, and if I haven't wished everybody, wishing everybody happy holidays. A couple things I wanted to talk about here this week. I was thinking about talking about AI because we had someone asking me about AI last week. And then just kind of also just talking about my audience and my journey here, and how grateful I am, and kind of thinking about what direction to take this in the new year. And really, it's sometimes like right now, I'm having a hard time being myself because I feel the pressure to say certain things, or I wouldn't say entertain, but feel like I have something of value to offer. Hey, Kelly and Mary, thank you for joining me. And so, what I wanted to talk about really first off was my journey, kind of, I wouldn't say with YouTube, but with social media, with putting myself out there again, and kind of how I have a love-hate relationship and some lessons I've learned from it in the past year or so. And I've documented before that I think social media can be a great thing or can be an incredibly toxic thing, especially for musicians, because as you know, musicians, we like attention, and maybe some of us are really insecure. I know that I am insecure about my abilities, about what I'm posting. Every time I post something online, I'm wondering, is everyone going to laugh at me? Am I going to look like a fool? Am I going to miss out on gigs? I am terrified. And that's one of the reasons why I never posted before. I never posted because I also felt that my playing was good enough and I didn't need to go on and tell everybody about how good I was as a musician. Because if you're a good musician, you just play. You don't need to tell people. And the more you tell people, the less kind of I've found that the more you tell people, the less good you are, or at least that's what I thought. And Mary, to answer your question, I play drums, I play guitar, piano, bass, write songs. The majority of my work playing live is as a drummer and a percussionist, but I'm also doing a lot of writing lately. And really, I'm just trying to do as much as I can musically and be fulfilled in my journey. That's really my vision of success. My vision of success is not necessarily get fame, not a lot of money, not a lot of followers, but it's kind of, yeah, I want to make music with people I enjoy. I want to be proud of the work I do. I want to make an impact on other people's lives. And so one of the things that I've kind of always struggled with is that I've been really insecure, not just in my playing, but just in general. And I think online with social media, that can kind of fuel that. It can make you feel more insecure because you're seeing people do other things that you're not, and you feel like you should, and you're comparing yourself to them. And then sooner or later, you try to be like other people instead of being yourself. And I was doing that. And I was also relying on affirmation. I was relying on likes. I was relying on engagement. And that was kind of my measure of success and happiness. And for those of you who don't know, I'm streaming from Nashville. I live and work in Nashville. I'm based out of Nashville. You know, I tour all over. But Nashville is my home because it is Music City, USA. And when I came to Nashville a couple years ago, I wasn't even planning on playing music. Seriously, I was planning on being a physical therapist for musicians because years ago I had an injury that took me out of music, and I kind of developed a passion for helping other people in pain. And I went back to school for it, and I came here trying to do that. And it was a good business model, and I think it could have made a lot of money. But at the end of the day, I was like, why aren't I happy? Why am I miserable? And I was seeing all these other people online doing these things musically, and I wanted to play music, but I was afraid I wasn't good enough. I was afraid to start over again. I was afraid I was going to humiliate myself. And you know what? When I first came to Nashville and I decided to, oh, I'll just sit in and play, I did humiliate myself because I just didn't know the way things operated. I didn't know what would, I didn't know what was expected. And that really damaged my self-esteem when I embarrassed myself on stage. And doing that, I didn't want to post anything online because I didn't think like, well, I'm not good. I need to wait till I get good to start posting things online. I need to wait till I have something to say. And then I realized, one of my therapists said, well, Aaron, no one's going to know who you are if you never tell them. If you never introduce yourself, if you never go up and give them your number, shake their hand, say your name, post stuff. And so I I slowly but surely started a music Instagram, like with like 2 followers, and I felt so stupid about it, and so insecure. And again, like insecurity is really it's caused me to do a lot of things that weren't in my best interest, but I've kind of been working through that in the past year or so. Um, but one thing I've kind of really, an unintended surprise, an unintended, just amazing bright spot of this year was you. Seriously, if you're watching, thank you. It was finding an audience, and I'm still finding that audience, but I've started becoming myself a little bit more. I'm able to say, well, I'm just going to kind of talk and see what happens and see if people are interested in what I have to say, or just even just share a version of what's going on in my life. Um, and it was weird because when I first started doing YouTube, I thought I was going to get a lot of followers. And the first year, I think I maybe got 200 followers. I think at this time last year, I think I had like maybe 400 followers. Um, but I was really consistent with it, and like consistent with doing these live streams, consistent with playing gigs, videotaping my gigs, or even streaming my gigs live. And I've slowly found an audience. And I found that the more honest I am about my experiences and who I am, both the ups and downs, the more I can connect with people. And really, that's what music is all about. It is just about being the most authentic version of yourself. It's not about being the best, but it's just about being true to yourself. And I've been trying to really figure out who I am over the past year or two. And I'm still really trying to figure that out, and I'm still really uncertain. But one thing I want to say is I wanted to thank all the people that have watched so far this year, who have asked questions, who have reached out. Because I know a lot of people are curious about what it's like playing in Nashville, like on Lower Broadway, the Nashville number system, what kind of gear you need. And really, I thought instead of talking about me, I just want to make videos that can really help other people, give other people insight into, make the channel that I wish I had when I moved here. And so that's what I've been doing. And along the way, I found some really great supporters. And I wanted to mention that there's been some people who have donated. They've donated resources, they've donated their time, they've donated their attention, their love, their encouragement. So for anybody who's ever liked, followed, shot me a message, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. And it just makes me want to keep going. For those who have, and there's been people who have been financially supported this channel, and I want to say thank you so much. I never want to call people out by name because I don't know if some people don't want that unwanted attention, but there's some people who donate a few dollars after every live stream. Um, every live stream I do with a gig, and that I appreciate that so much because I've lost a lot of money on YouTube, but just paying for data for streaming my live gigs. But I'm like, no, it's gonna all come around. People are enjoying this. And there's been people who have helped so much. There's been people who have helped, they don't know it, but they've helped fund replacement cameras. Um, and that's just been so helpful. And there's been people who have helped fund me getting some new equipment to do some editing. And again, thank you so much. So I wanted to say, if you've donated here before, uh, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you for your support, any form of support. All of you out there, I definitely know who you are. Thank you so much. And it encourages me to keep going. And one of the things I want to talk about this week, again, about being yourself, was I wanted to, so actually Brian asked me a question. I noticed you mentioned writing a few times lately, including once when you're at BMG offices. If I remember correctly, how did those rights come about? So Brian, that's a great question. So those rights of, music is an interesting business. There's not exactly places where you can go on classified boards and apply for jobs. It's very much a relationship business. It's who you know. It's who you know and what can you bring to the table and what are your relationships like with those people. And when I say relationships, I say real relationships. Like, are there people you're actively going out and seeing every time they play? Are you supporting their albums? Are you going to their shows? With no expectation in return. And so I've been trying to do that a little bit more, trying to meet more musicians, and I've met several musicians. And it's funny, one of the people that I was texting with, they say, wow, you text like a writer. You're a very good writer. What are your songs like? And I never tell anybody about me writing songs. I'm just like, And I shared some of my songs with them, and they liked them, and so we went and worked on co-writing some songs. And that's kind of what that's what I'm kind of been focusing on here lately. And so with the writing, it's very much like, do you know any other writers? Do you know any other musicians? What are your goals with your writing? Are you trying to write for film? Are you trying to write for TV? Are you trying to write for original projects? Are you doing it for money, for career advancement, for artistic advancement, for personal fulfillment? And there can all be like kind of different blends of that, and everyone has different things that they want to focus on. So ultimately, I would like to make songwriting and producing part of my kind of portfolio and part of my income stream. And what I've been really thinking about doing with my career is investing and investing in myself. So if you know anything about investing money, you know, you're taught not to put all your eggs into one basket, not all into something extremely volatile, but diversify your portfolio and do it over time and be patient with it. And what I've been doing here has been really patient with developing my YouTube, starting to develop some products, and then starting to get a little bit of money off that, developing my live playing career. And I've also been developing some songwriting stuff. And I'm trying to get a few things published. And when those things get published, that's mailbox money, meaning that that's money you get when you're sleeping if somebody buys your song. So I've been doing a little bit of that lately. And let me tell you something. If you've ever like written songs in front of people, with other people, or have taken your own personal songs to other people for critiquing, and if you're like me, who's somebody who's unsure and insecure themselves, it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. And this week I was terrified. You know, I was at BMG writing songs. And I'm like, these people are going to find out that I'm a fraud, that I'm no good, that I'm just a hack, that I'm an amateur. And, you know, in the past, you know, there's AI out there, and a lot of people are using AI for songwriting. And I don't think that's bad at all. because I think AI is a tool. And whether you like it or not, it's here. And before I did it right, I thought about maybe I'll like put some of my stuff through AI and see if I can get like alternate options, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But then also when I was at this rate, I was also thinking about maybe doing something like that. Um, and but then I was like, well, no, because songwriting is not about being good or bad. It's about being honest and about being who you are. And a lot of times I feel like I'll need to like do something like that because I'm not good enough. Because I need some because what I have to offer, what I think, what I feel is not good enough. It's not valid enough. And I need something to help me because I'm so afraid of rejection because I'm so uncomfortable with myself. And ironically enough, one of the songs we were writing was something about being uncomfortable with yourself, coming to terms with yourself, coming to grips with yourself. And I really thought about, and in that moment, I was like, well, me just writing the song and saying, this is exactly who I am, instead of trying to find something else to cover it up, um, it's, I thought that was really poignant and powerful. And I think that's what music should be. It's because you know what? If I have AI or if I get a line from somebody else and it sounds like crap or it's rejected, I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't even me, that was AI. But then if people like it, I take all the credit. So there's no really risk to it, except that it wouldn't be real. And songwriting isn't about being the best, it is about being the most you version of yourself. And that's what I kind of really leaned into this week when I was writing, being the most me version of myself. And you know, all the things that people have told me to do for years that I never have done, that I'm doing now, are starting to pay off. Things like slowly cultivating relationships with people. Things like being patient. Like I've been doing YouTube we're going on year 2 now, and for about a year and a half I had like less than 400 followers. Now it's not like I have a huge following, but it's starting to go places. And you know, the patience is really it's paying off, and doing things like journaling every day. I didn't realize when I was journaling every day for the past year that I was writing songs, and now I just go to my journal and I'm able to pick from this well, and I have all these songs ready to go. So one of the things I'm doing now is kind of exploring, you know, options with publishing and syncing, and kind of delving into that different area. And I'm really kind of taking a risk because I'm pulling back on my playing right now, so I can kind of pursue other avenues and develop other, you know, other lanes of income and just also of fulfillment. Because really what I want to do is, I guess why I love playing music is the same thing why I love doing YouTube, is that when I do it, I try to really just share my experience with other people and not say what's right or wrong, but saying, here's another human being with experiences that you can probably relate to and you're not so alone. And I really want people to feel seen and heard and felt. And also just talking about my journey this year with ups and downs of dealing with various addiction issues, various mental health issues, various just grief. It's been a crazy, hard, difficult, challenging year. And I've shared a lot of that. And it's not for sympathy, it's not for attention, but it's to let people know that, oh, you see somebody out there playing every day and succeeding in their, you know, in their professional life, sometimes it's not as easy as you think. And that you aren't the only one that's out there struggling. And, you know, if you're having depression, it's absolutely normal. Um, you know, and that being said, going forward in the new year, I think I'm going to be taking this channel in new directions. I'm thinking about stop doing the lives on Sunday and maybe doing like pre-recorded interviews, or I'm not sure. But there's going to be a lot more content coming up. I think I have something ready for every day in January coming up. Literally every day in January on my, so yeah. So in the time we have remaining, I wanted to open up. I want to go back through here and see some questions. Yes, if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I'm just kind of scrolling through, seeing what. So I've had some people ask about the genres, and yeah, I don't necessarily do one style of music. Um, you know, I studied jazz and classical growing up, a lot of jazz growing up. Um, but I've played with like everything from Cirque du Soleil to jazz at Lincoln Center to War. Played lots of hip hop, funk, electronic, and now I'm playing country here in Nashville. I'm also like writing like pop and folk and country songs. And I'm really just trying to be me and explore as much as I can musically. Uh, and someone's asking, do I have electronic drums? I have some like drum sequencers and samplers. I don't have electronic drums, and they are the bane of my existence. I do not like electronic drums. Um, I would rather, yeah, electronic drums are just not my thing. I definitely don't have them. And hey, Joel, thanks for joining me. Appreciate having you here. Uh, so if you are interested in songwriting, though, that's going to be something that I kind of want to start sharing a little bit more about, because everyone's like, well, how do you get it on Spotify? And where do you get the money from? And what are publishing rights organizations? Should I do BMI or ASCAP? And I want to talk a lot about that, but I also don't really want to alienate my audience too much. But again, I'm not chasing algorithms or numbers. My whole goal of this channel is to be me and to showcase what my journey is like. I'm not necessarily doing this. I'm not like researching and chasing thumbnails and thinking, okay, this is going to go viral if I do this. I want to say my primary career is as a musician, and yeah, my primary career as a musician, doing YouTube is secondary. So everything I do is for the music. So if my music goes in a different direction, my career goes in a different direction, I want to have my YouTube kind of show that. Uh, now if this was like a dedicated YouTube channel, like just for me being YouTube and like making money, yes, I would focus on one thing, but really my focus is music. And so I'm just talking all about where my journey is at with music, and then where I'm going to be doing with songwriting and publishing coming up, and then also like starting to do some producing and a solo album coming out too. Yeah. And the solo album is going to be, anytime a drummer does a solo album, I'm usually like, nope. And so I want to make this the most non-drum solo album ever. I think I would even like to not have drums on it, but we're working on that coming up soon. But if anyone has any questions, please shoot them now. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off. But again, one thing I really wanted to reiterate is my gratitude to everybody who's tuned in. Everybody who has supported me one way or the other. I can't always get to the comments, but I thank you so much. And, if you've donated, thank you so much. It's been like the roughest year of my life, and, the financial part helps. It really goes back into the channel, because I believe in what I'm doing, and I think people like what's going on here, and I want to share more. But it's also just that vote of confidence from my other people out there. And so I wanted to kind of finish it off by, I've attracted quite a bit of controversy here in Nashville in the past month or so, and I've stayed fairly quiet about it, just because I didn't want to give it oxygen. But tomorrow I'm going to be shooting a little bit of an interview with two other people, and we're going to be talking about some of these controversial issues, and it'll give you an idea of what I've been doing for the past month. And I think it'll be a really good insight for people who have ever hit a snag in their musical career. So I definitely hit a little bit of the snag, or I stepped on a little bit of a landmine, maybe poked a little bit of a hornet's nest. But I think that's going to be really interesting from the human perspective, and then also talking with some other people about it. Uh, but yeah, I'm going to be doing that this week and just getting my stuff ready for the new year. But yeah, thank you to everybody who's watched. Thanks for people who moderate on here, like Joel. Thank you so much. I try not to mention names, but because Joel's name is on the screen, I mention his names. But the other people who, like, again, I like to protect people's anonymity. But thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support. But yeah, I've got some really interesting things coming up, and I don't. And it might be a little bit risky sharing it, but I think it's some things that need to be addressed. And there's some negative things that I want to address about the Nashville community. And it's because, I live here and I participate here, and I think we can always do better in some areas. And I want to talk about that a little bit later this week. So I'm going to be taping a 3-person interview tomorrow. And thankfully, I have, I've gotten a little bit of support, and I was able to get like another camera, so I should be able to do a 3-camera interview now, if I'm using my iPhone, my iPad, and a GoPro. So yeah, we're gonna do an interview here tomorrow, and then hopefully have it up before Christmas. But if not, I hope everyone has happy holidays. I'm going to be doing this again live next Sunday, and I think that might be the last one for a little while, because I'm looking at changing formats. But yeah, if there's something you want to see, you want to hear from me, let me know. But thank you so much for watching, and everyone have a great holiday.